Howdy do.
Howdy do.
This is my country house.
This is my randomiser.
It's rather lovely.
Oh, thank you. Do you have the printout? Ah, well, this crumpled piece of paper informs me that today's episode is Space 1999, the Seance Spectre. So, Space 1999 didn't show up on the randomiser in time for Breakaway, but here it is, a couple of weeks late.
In Earth orbit.
For the Seance Spectre.
It is now 3 weeks since we sighted the space phenomenon we call Tora.
Let's let Helena explain things for us here first.
She'll know whether it is a habitable planet, but false hopes have been raised before, and since Commander Koenig doesn't want to raise false hopes again, he has ordered the few people who are aware of the situation to keep it secret. Command Center has been put off limits to all but a few chosen personnel.
I like this idea. I like the idea that not only are the Command Center staff keeping the sort of, what's the word? Morale, that's the word I'm looking for.
It's just gone, I don't understand it.
But also it lends itself to a very nice idea for a story.
Screens are all blank. We're approaching a planet. A habitable planet, I'm sure of it.
You've predicted it before.
Because this is something that this show, I think the fans of this show have often thought about, but it was never really addressed.
Why should we guess? Let's find out.
The idea that, you know, Koenig is in charge of Alpha, okay, that's fine. He was there when the moon was blown out of orbit, okay. But now we're a few years into the journey into deep space. Is he gonna stay commander forever? Is this, this is more than just a scientific base now. This is a community, and
What, you got something?
is he just sort of commander for life, or maybe this should start to become a democracy, perhaps? So I like that this episode touches on those themes.
Show a change of position.
Doesn't really quite explore them as much as perhaps
Record a source of internal energy which has caused a definite change of position.
long-time fans might hope for. But it's nice that it's been considered.
You know Commander Koenig saw this. Command Center's off limits.
Well, if those are the commander's orders, time they were changed.
And we have a black security guard who is not Quentin Pierre. He turns up later, who will also get knocked out. But meanwhile,
Supposed to be here, right?
Sanderson and his crew have let themselves into Command Center,
You've got on that screen.
having overpowered the one guard.
Limit, Sanderson.
That's it. I love as well how everybody reacts differently to being hit by the stun beam. Tony is thrown sideways, Maya falls forward, Sandra is also falling sideways. I also love that Maya being pushed off the desk is in time with the music. That's very classy. So yes, we have Greg Sanderson,
Like I said.
being played by Ken Hutchinson, who... Is it Hutchinson or Hutchison? Whoever he is, he passed away only about a month ago, I think. So this is a reasonably timely appearance for the Seance Spectre on the randomiser. Also along with him are... there's a chap called Stevens, who I can't remember the actor's name. He has appeared in the show before. He was Costo, an Eagle co-pilot in Space Brain. He was the co-pilot who got crushed by the Space Brain. There's Chernik, played by Nigel Pegram, and Eva, played by Carolyn Seymour, who will be a familiar name to all fans of cult and genre TV. She's done everything from, Star Trek The Next Generation and Voyager to, I think she was in Return of the Saint, she's in Remington Steele, she was also in the first series of Survivors, which I watched for the first time earlier this year and was rather impressed. And I also missed her character when she left. Anyway, that's our crew of guest characters.
Gotta get back immediately. Eagle 4 to Moonbase Alpha.
Sanderson and his gang have taken over Command Center and they're holding a little seance. But unfortunately,
Trees.
Koenig and Allen have found
Tora and Moonbase Alpha on direct collision course.
that.
Alert!
It's a habitable planet!
And there's a phrase you're going to hear a lot throughout this episode.
Planet! The prediction was right! It's a habitable planet!
To the point where, again, it's one of those catchphrases or slogans. I would like to see that on a shirt. A picture of Sanderson at his frothiest, maniacalist. Just, it's a habitable planet. Also, an interesting fact relating to the randomizer. This is the first time that that Space 1999 Series 2 has appeared on the randomizer in over a year. I suspect that is probably the longest gap between episodes from a particular show or season of a show. And you know what? The fact that nobody has been asking for it, nobody has asked why we haven't had a second season episode in over a year, is a bit revealing. But I've always said, I have a lot of time for the second season. If you just, kind of forget for a moment the first season, I look at this as a different universe, a slightly skewed take on the original concept, not necessarily a direct continuation from the first year. And in that sense, there is a lot to enjoy in the second series. And this is one of the stronger episodes from this year. So now Koenig and Allen, because of course it was them, have retaken command center. Sanderson and his crew have been led away.
She'll be fine.
Who's that? Who's going?
Auto-hypnosis.
Who's moaning on the soundtrack there?
I'm concerned it's criminal.
It's green sickness, John. You know the symptoms.
Is mutiny one of the symptoms?
Well, it could be, but I have to take responsibility.
And again, this is a nice idea as well. The idea that, a lot of the people on Alpha they never get to go down to these planets that the moon drifts past. So a lot of people are going a bit stir crazy. It's a nice gelling of little ideas that really could each be their own story. The green sickness angle, and also the idea of Koenig as essentially a dictator.
Teams are beginning to show signs. I'm going to have to limit surface exploration to 15 days maximum at a time.
And some people have said the idea that Alpha is sending out surface exploration teams is a bit strange. I think it's quite understandable, really, that you're this lone outpost far from home, but you have essentially a whole world with you. It's why when Eagles are trashed and destroyed, and then we've got a full complement next week, I don't really mind, because I can just about believe that somewhere on this moon are the raw materials needed to make all this work. So it's
In a planet.
It's a nice idea. Again, we don't see it though.
Sanderson's habitable planet.
Well, let's hope Maya's instruments are wrong. Because if Tora's got a hard core and we're on a collision course with it, God help us.
You haven't got Victor here to set up a string of satellites or anything.
Is the Seagull prepared? Right.
We just got back.
My preliminary diagnosis is that you're suffering from a condition that we've termed green sickness. You are one of the first people assigned to Alpha, and the psychological pressures have had longer to build up.
Interesting fact there. Harry McBeardy is one of the original Alphans.
You want to marry, you want children, you feel that your life is slipping away.
And some people have said that they find Ken Hutchison's performance a bit too over the top. I think it's pitched perfectly. The character is written a bit over the top. This second series generally is occasionally over the top, so he's a nice fit.
Now, Greg.
I'm going to see Koenig.
You can't. You're confined here until further notice.
Who's confining me?
Security.
Let's see Security Force, as trained by Tony Vadeshi, in action. Tony Vadeshi has trained them well.
Way to command center. We couldn't stop him.
You remember Tony Vadeshi as the security chief?
Sanderson.
All right.
I don't think he does.
Stand where you are.
Where is he?
Right here.
I like that the two security guards he's just beaten up there. One is Paul Weston, who appeared infrequently throughout both seasons. The other is played by, I believe his name is Nick Hobbs, and he had previously played a security guard in Space Warp, but he had also been Clive Candor in The Bringers of Wonder, which was, I think, only part one. He gets set on fire in the records room. And that was only 2 episodes before this, so in case people might recognise him, what they've done is they've given him the biggest fake moustache they could find in their prop store. He looks very funny.
Because in a normal lifestyle, we'd make our own decision.
This is a lovely idea.
Vote. And there'd be no place for Commander Koenig's dictatorship.
The idea that there are some people who would see Koenig's command as a dictatorship and not a democracy.
Everyone on Alpha will be told.
Because it's not really a democracy.
By that, but I don't.
There's nothing sinister about it. It is a very benevolent command for the most part, but it is generally Koenig says jump and we jump.
All right. All right. every piece of
How long could that arrangement have really lasted?
main computer. Now that way everyone on Alpha will see what's happening as it happens step by step on their screens. Now how does that suit you?
That I'll buy.
It's one of the things I liked about the new Battlestar Galactica, actually, that you have this military command structure in charge of Galactica, but you also have civilian authorities
Right.
wielding power alongside that.
To lift off. Right, Mr. Carter?
So you're beating up the guards now, huh? What the hell is the matter with you, Sanderson?
He's sick, Tony.
There's Nick Hobbs and his amazing moustache.
I can just see clearer than the rest of you.
Oh, yeah? Well, everything you see from now on is going to be via the monitors of the restriction area. Now get him out of here!
And the other security guard actor had also been set on fire.
I want him back in medical
The
center.
end of License to Kill, he goes up in flames.
Okay. But I want him constantly under guard. And I mean properly this time.
Because if he's not, I'm going to write a letter to the Chief of Security. Oh no, that's my job, isn't it? Oh dear. I love it when Tony Vedeschi doesn't realise what his own job entails. Anyway, Koenig and Maya are off to investigate
Eagle 1 to Alpha. On course for Tora.
Tora.
What we're dealing with here is an...
What we're dealing with here.
Has
This is a rare occasion of a flubbed line being left in the show.
In my case.
Yes.
No.
The only other one I can think of, at least in a live action show, is in the UFO episode Close Up. Ed Bishop is giving a demonstration and he says the wrong line, but he just says, or the right line. And it's
She's in love.
yeah, when you've got a skilled performer like Ed Bishop or Barbara Bain, I think that's the first time I've ever actually noticed that she mangled her line there. Anyway, Eva is being released from sickbay. Not sickbay, medical centre. I'm confused because it looks a bit different to how it would normally look. Medical centre in the second season, and indeed in the first season, seem to change fairly regularly.
Medical emergency. Medical emergency. Recycling plants 1 and 2. Recycling plants 1 and 2.
So there's an intercom that's never been in an Alpha corridor before.
What's happening, Helena?
I'll let you know as soon as I find out, Tony.
It's our brave security chief again. Oh, what's happening? Oh. Yeah, so a fake message has been called in by Eva. It was clearly Eva, and now the entire staff of Medical Centre have been deployed. And she has overpowered George, the security guard, played by Harry Fielder, with a little can of spray that she's sprayed him with in the face. Will she be able to get past security guard number 2, Quentin Pierre? Yep. Again, Tony Vedeschi. I don't know what he's teaching his security guards, but it could be knitting for all we know.
How far in do you want to go?
Not so far in that we can't pull away at the first sign of gravitational drag.
I also liked the mention at the very start of the episode in Helena's log that they'd been watching Tora for...
You're clear to approach to range 3.
Was it a few weeks or a month? I like that the second series feels, again, supported by the dates that she gives. It takes place over a number of years. I like that in some cases certain episodes feel like they're taking place over a longer period than just, a few days. Anyway, Sanderson and his crew have invaded the computer room, looking totally different from the computer room that we saw in the first season in Black Sun, but of course it would. Poor old Kano, nowhere to be seen.
First atmospheric indications. High density, high carbon dioxide content, unbreathable.
I'm getting a slight tremor here. Could be atmospheric vibration. Or the beginning of a gravity pull. Watch it, John.
I like as well that Command Center has now got the regular extras in there, having started out the episode with, or only a few people know about this. Sanderson has said, hang on a second, this is wrong. And Koenig he hasn't verbally agreed with him, but you can see by the fact that the regular extras are back that he at least agrees with that part of his viewpoint. Not so much with this sabotage of computer, though. Which, of course, is achieved by pulling out a few trays.
Tremor's gone, Maya.
Looks like you're clear to go in as close as you like.
Yeah. Or the gravity is just gone. Go right in, have a tea party.
Zero gravity. I can't believe it. Something's wrong.
Let me switch to the onboard computer.
Maya, everyone in Alpha will think we're holding back information. We stay with main computer like I said.
Oh, again, I like that. Koenig is determined to stick with, let's share this information. Okay, we're not a dictatorship, that's fine. Some interesting angles in the Eagle cockpit here as well. I'm not so much a fan of the effect shots of the eagle flying through fog, but the stuff on the planet that we're about to get is very nice.
Circuit 1, okay. Circuit 2, okay.
Oh, are those
Lines 1 through to 10.
sort of price displays that you would get on
Malfunction.
old-timey cash machines?
Computer malfunction.
Near Sandra's desk. I think they might have been. Well, press anything into service as a computer on Alpha.
It's too late. Now you'll have to find that planet, Commander.
Again, having Sanderson sort of giggling evilly there, while his crew sort of look on smiling, is maybe a bit hammy, a bit too much of a villain, especially considering what's about to happen.
Commander, the planet.
Yeah, there's a bit of noticeable ADR from Catherine Shaw there, and here we go! One of my favourite Eagle crashes in the history of the show. I think because it hits like 2 or 3 different rocks on the way down. And this does, despite the fact that I said, I'm not a big fan of the fog, this does look like a very alien world.
Moonbase Alpha to Eagle 1.
Not just alien, but inhospitable as well. The fact that it's just this yellow mist everywhere. And we get this silent shot of the Eagle crashed on the surface. I believe in this world of Tora.
Maya, you all right?
Yeah.
Get the helmets.
Where do we store the helmets now that we've removed the interior corridor, the connecting corridor on the interior set? Everything's leaking and fuming. There we go. Bit of sticky paper over the hole. That'll soon fix that. Oh yeah, and spray foam. That was a thing they used in the first season, wasn't it, with Matthias spraying up the window?
They're both damaged.
They would be.
Let's get out of here. Seal this off.
That's the camera helmet, again seen in Bringers of Wonder, I think.
We better check the oxygen.
Oh, damaged, broken, what is it? What's the problem with the oxygen?
Our oxygen recycling plant is less than 5% effective. Insufficient to maintain life.
Oh, we've well and truly knackered another Eagle. That's the thing I like as well about Eagle crashes, is not only do they crash beautifully, everything inside breaks.
This is Command Center to Eagle 1. Are you receiving me?
It's not like on Star Trek where you get, if we can bolt this to this and make something out of this, and it's like, no, everything is screwed. Except for that one time in the Immunity Syndrome where they managed to bolt a radio onto the solar cells.
Engines and guidance systems intact.
Intact? Alan, could you pull them out of there on the remote control?
We'll give it a try.
Oh, everyone's so excited. I like this. Again, as well, I like that they only have the remote control unit on the consoles when it's actually needed. Otherwise, you don't see it.
EB, no sign of Sanderson.
Well, how about level A?
That was cleared first.
All right, we'll start again from square one. I want Sanderson found.
Tony Vedeschi, again, expert security force. Nobody seems to know what they're doing with regards to finding Sanderson. But this is nice, though.
Firing forward thrusters.
The lights coming on in the cockpit and the controls working themselves. Again, the camera moving to suggest the movement of the vehicle.
Come on, baby. Come on.
And only Nick Tate could make fiddling with a pair of very small joysticks look as intense and dramatic as he's managing to make it look here. Again, this is a first. We've crashed an Eagle, but we're actually going to be able to salvage it. I think this is unique to the show. It's the first time they've crashed an Eagle and they've been able to retrieve it, except for the ones, presumably, that bits of them may have been recovered if they were crashed near the base.
Commander, we've only got enough oxygen for 1 hour.
I know a source that can create oxygen. Vegetation. Lift off!
I love this music as well, and the fact that one of the pods falls off the Eagle. That's lovely. It's not so convincing. Landau and Shell running up and down the Eagle to suggest being buffeted around.
But a plant needs the sun, so it can start the photosynthesis process to turn carbon dioxide into oxygen.
Or something that faces the sun. Like a bright light.
And here's one of the more baffling features of the Eagle. We can turn up the lights really, really bright. Not just, I mean, this is like almost blindingly bright. I don't see the point for this, except, if you happen to have your alien shapeshifter along who needs to turn into plants and cover the passenger module. But I like as well that this Eagle is missing two of the leg pods, but it's also missing it's missing all but one landing foot. It looks really knackered and broken, and yet it still flies.
We have a damaged Eagle. Alert rescue units.
All emergency fire and decontamination units to Eagle Hangar Bay 1.
Stretcher unit to Eagle Hangar Bay 1. Surgical team to medical center immediately.
Nobody's asking security to do anything. They're probably, I don't know, they've got their heads stuck down the toilet or something. Lots of stock footage of people running around Alpha, though. And our amazingly broken Eagle has returned to Alpha, not only very quickly, but also, no further disasters have befallen it. This is a very nice touchdown from Alan.
Command center to launch area. Lower Eagle 1 to launch bay.
I adore this music as well, by the way. It doesn't quite fit the scene, but it's just... I'm always so happy to hear it turn up. It's got wonderful energy to it. I really associate it more with Space Warp and the Beta Cloud, though. Fight scenes, I think, more for this music. They don't even let it finish.
Where did all this vegetation come from?
Maya has filled the passenger module.
Maya?
It's a nice idea. Again, I don't think the science of it makes much sense, but the science of Maya doesn't really make much sense at all.
One thing about oxygen deprivation, we can tell fast if there's been brain damage.
There's always brain damage in this show, although that's a more first season thing, brain damage, but still a bit of it in the second. I also like that Alan is helping Helena with the medical stuff. The two medics they brought along aren't doing anything.
Oh, do you hear me?
But Alan, because he's got that medical patch on his jacket.
You know who I am.
He knows some kind of first aid. Come on, John.
Saw you before in my life. Dr. Russell.
Hey, so we're back from Tora. It's a bit of a death trap. Meanwhile, Moonbase Alpha's crack security force have finished their afternoon nap. Oh, for goodness sake! One of them has just walked straight past Sanderson and his crew. They've taken up residence in a travel tube. Again, it's a nice idea that maybe we need to vote on who's going to be commander of the base. I think we should also vote on who's going to be in charge of security. Indeed, who gets to work on security, period, on this base.
While we were concentrating on you, Sanderson broke in here and sabotaged the main computer.
Again, I'm going to have words with the security chief about guarding this room.
Just move us down.
Sanderson and crew are trapped in a travel tube. No way to get to them.
Travel tube 4, section D. Sanderson.
I would have assumed that somewhere on Alpha there's one very bored person whose sort of job it is to manage the travel tube network.
Oh, you admit there's a planet then?
It's not a habitable planet. It's just a weather belt.
Just a weather belt?
With a thick core of dust and unbreathable gas.
Sanderson, we've been on your exploration team from the beginning. You've gotten us out of some pretty tight spots.
What are you saying?
He's saying what we both feel, Sanderson. He's saying out there on the moon's surface, we wouldn't think of questioning your judgment. What you say goes. Plenty of times, it's the only way we've stayed alive.
It might have been nice to see, actually, some of their scrapes out on the lunar surface. It might make this feel like more of a team.
He's lying!
As it is, we have 3 good performers.
Trying to make us give up!
And 1 okay performer.
Our present course will be drawn into orbit around Tora.
But they don't really feel like they quite gel as a team.
Fast swamp of dust!
Perhaps it's because Sanderson feels more independent than...
The prediction says so!
He's almost bordering on being like a messiah figure, a sort of cult leader almost. He feels more like a lone wolf than the leader of a team.
On our present course, we collide with the dust planet in 8 hours.
8 hours. Tony, is there any way we can alter Tora's trajectory?
Oh, no. We just don't know.
I like Tony's reaction there, sort of, what? I barely know how tea works.
1999, the way this whole thing started. When the nuclear waste dumps blew up.
Remember that? Oh, no, you weren't there, Tony.
The atomic waste?
Ah, some of it.
It's the only way. We have to create an explosion big enough to shift the moon 1 or 2 degrees off its course. Maya, give me a damage forecast on a sudden 2-degree shift.
Anticipate severe damage in all sections. High fire risk.
None of that is evident later after they've made the 2-degree course change. But again, it...
Forecast 0 survival rate.
I think if you look at it in production order, Bringers of Wonder Part 2, Lambda Factor, and then this is our second we've got a nuclear waste area that we didn't have before in 3 weeks.
Out of its present collision course.
Which is very strange because, you know, that was a huge thing in the first episode. We've blown up all the nuclear waste dumps. Oh, now we have another one. Oh, and now we have another one over here. And I think in this episode it's...
Like you trusted me before.
It's meant to be the same ones. So is Alpha creating its own nuclear waste now?
Concentrate.
Again, that's one of the things with the second series. I think trying to make it fit the first series... it doesn't always work. There we go, we're packing.
Better take that along, just to be on the safe side.
Yes, the thing that we've got to take along is a little box with a couple of knobs on it that Glenda Allen was holding there. You know, we could potentially lose the base, but if we lose that box, oh no, life is not going to be worth living.
To survive on a fleet of transporter eagles, we'll be at each other's throats.
You know, a lot of elephants said the same thing when we split away from Earth.
John Koenig philosophy. If there are chips on the table, we're still in the game.
Right on.
Another nice idea, the thought that if Alpha is wrecked and everyone is taken to the Eagles and they have to stay there, how would that work long term? Again, that is a fascinating idea that the episode doesn't really address. And I don't feel it's because it doesn't want to address it, because none of these ideas of, you know, Alpha as a democracy and so forth have ever really come up before. I think this episode is just more concerned with, you know, doing its own thing, telling its own exciting little story. But there's some nice ideas that you do wish... Oh.
Being here when we trigger the waste dumps.
For long-term fans, maybe it wouldn't be more appealing for casual fans, but
Station and be evacuated safely.
I would like to see some examination of Koenig's command as a dictatorship versus democracy, and you know, the possibility of leaving Alpha permanently in the Eagles.
Koenig, Steven.
That seems like the sort of thing Big Finish might do. You know, everyone on Alpha has temporarily evacuated into the Eagles, and then suddenly the moon is gone. Oh no, how are we going to cope with this?
That's why we're still here.
Just suppose, for a moment, that Koenig is telling the truth about this dust planet. To save the moon base, he'll have to trigger off the atomic waste, whether we're still here or not.
I have information, Eva. I have the predictions. Koenig, Stevens.
Dr. Russell diagnoses a sickness. She says we all have it. A sickness where a wish for the green planet is so strong that our decisions are distorted.
Again, this green sickness thing is a lovely idea.
Hey, Sanderson, don't you see? We're just not sure anymore.
After all we've faced together.
All our undocumented off-screen adventures.
You talk about freedom from John Koenig's command. I say let's start now. The four of us. Let's vote on what we do.
Oh, shut up. You're dead. You don't count. You don't have a voice.
It's Koenig as a dictator, isn't it? Not you.
Again, I like that as well. I like that notion of, you know, Sanderson essentially becoming the thing that he hates. A potential dictator within his own little group.
In favor of evacuation.
Stevens has got his hand up. Koenig has got his hand up. Eva has got her hand up.
Sorry, Greg.
That we have a responsibility to the others?
We just took a vote, Greg. Do you abide by it? Koenig!
We're coming out.
Yeah, Ken Hutchinson gets a lot of feedback on his performance, good and bad, I've seen. But as I said, generally I think he deserves mostly good. Carolyn Seymour is one of those actors who you just like in everything. But I don't see Nigel Pegram get much praise for his role in this episode. I think that's the last we've seen of him now, but he's a nice strong voice in that scene there. And speaking of nice strong things, I'm always a sucker for stock footage of Eagles taking off, departing the base en masse.
Evacuation complete, Commander.
Yay, we did it. They've even taken some of the desks with them.
Trigger in position.
John, trouble.
Those must have been fun to load into the Eagles.
Sanderson's missing. He's still down there, somewhere on moon base.
Oh dear. If only we had a security force who could keep an eye on these things. Oh. Stun blast there from Sanderson has thrown Koenig across the room.
Sanderson, listen to me. There are 2 hours, 20 minutes to collision point.
To orbit, understand? And then we use the transporters to transfer everyone to the new planet.
We'll be swallowed by red dust and toxic gases.
This is also an episode that I feel could have worked in the first season.
There's no time, Tony. Stay where you are.
I think that's the hallmark of a good Space 1999 story, is if you can imagine it fitting in the opposite season to the one it appears in. So, Sanderson has got Maya and Koenig hostage in command center. Everyone else is out on the Eagles.
I want to know the moment we go into orbit.
Koenig no longer appears to have a gun. Oh no, he does have a gun. Why isn't Maya grabbing it and using it?
Tora's atmosphere gets into our recycling system, our air will be lethal.
I love that Sanderson is holding the gun with both hands.
Fresh. Pure.
I don't recall seeing anyone else using it that way. Again, it adds to the kind of mania of the man. And Eva is co-piloting with Alan.
Put the gun away, Greg.
If you're interested, Tony's Eagle, Sandra is co-piloting with Tony, and they've got Helena on board as well.
Chernik, Stevens, all of us.
You'll thank.
But it's nice as well to look at that shot of all the Eagles and think, oh, somewhere out there is Fraser and Yasko and Vincent and Spencer and Alib and Petrov and all the rest of them.
Dr. Russell is right. It's an hallucination. A mirage.
Interesting effect there that Carolyn Seymour's head, she's looking at a different angle depending on what angle we're seeing the television screen at.
He has to keep us on this barren rock.
You're wrong, Greg. It's all in your mind. Greg.
Please do what the commander wants. Before all this happened, you believed in him. Believe in him now.
Believe in him? I've never believed in him.
I think the show could have done more, I think not only with this character, but similar characters. The idea that everybody, all 300 odd people on Alpha, are 100% gung-ho behind Koenig and his ideas. It's just not that believable. Especially in situations where, oh, we found a new planet. Who's going to go down to investigate? Oh, you know, Tony, Alan, Maya, the usual. And there's 280 odd people on Alpha who never get a look in. They must be getting frustrated. They must be getting cross. They must not want to be thrown across command center by a dinosaur monster. That's what Maya's turned herself into now.
Maya, get the gun.
A brand new monster. Well, it's a new monster head on top of the old hairy monster body.
Why didn't you fire?
Couldn't. It was jammed on kill.
Why didn't you fire, Koenig? Where's your gun gone?
We've got less than 2 hours to set the atomic trigger. Let's go.
Because surely there is no chance of us finding Sanderson.
Well, there they are. The old nuclear waste silos.
The old nuclear waste silos. That takes me back to the time when they were blown to pieces.
We'll have to blast one of those concrete caps away so we can lower the atomic trigger.
Again, unless Alpha is producing their own nuclear waste, I can't see this fitting with the chronology of the first season. When we had 2 nuclear waste disposal areas, and that seemed to be it. Anyway, Tony and Helena and Sandra, they think they've seen something on the surface, but the model shot doesn't really show us anything.
What is that thing?
What thing?
I don't know. We're not close enough.
Oh, magnify, damn it.
I am trying.
I like it when Sandra gets cross with people. Yeah, I think we're supposed to be able to see something there, and we kind of can't. There's the vaguest suggestion, I think, of sort of tracks.
It's a moon buggy.
Ah.
That's Sanderson. John, Sanderson's down there waiting for you.
Scanners indicate that he is amongst the rocks, but I cannot pinpoint him from here.
Proof, if you ever needed it, that moon buggies can move faster than eagles. Evidently.
Sanderson is down there.
I know that.
Oh, Alan's just itching for a fight. He wants to have a fight, he wants to tear his shirt, he wants to do something heroic.
Is that going to give you enough time?
That's all the time we've got.
But sorry, Alan, Koenig is the only one who gets to be a hero this week. He's donning
to attach this device.
the silver spacesuit for the really important missions.
12 minutes at full thrust to blast ourselves as far away from here as we can get.
Gonna attach a great big explosive to
Good luck.
the nuclear waste silo. It's an anti-radiation helmet. I know because it says so on the helmet. And I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but as a kid I always wondered how the how the spacewalk sequences were achieved. I don't know if we're about to see any of them here, particularly, as Koenig... Oh, see there on Blu-ray, you can see the edge of a trampoline that you wouldn't have seen on SD and VHS and old broadcasts back in the day.
Right, Commander. We have no visual of Sanderson. Continuing to scan.
Eagle 3 calling Eagle 6. Any movement in Area 3, Alan? Eagle 6. Nothing so far, Tony. We'll continue search.
Any other Eagles want to pitch in here? Yasko, how's it looking from where you are? Again, another reason for Koenig to be wearing the silver spacesuit, which I believe is from Brian the Brain, is Sanderson's in the orange spacesuit. We can't really have a fight... well, we can have a fight with two people wearing the same colour spacesuits. We've done it before, but it's easier if they're wearing different colours.
All clear, Tony.
We must be coming to the end of the episode. The music has changed very abruptly into either everything's about to blow up or we're going to have a big fight. Or possibly both music. I love the second series score. I know a lot of people don't, and I can understand that. But, oh, I love it. It is a bit more of its time than the Barry Gray stuff, but there's some really nice melodies in here. Sanderson's lining up to shoot Koenig. Koenig has placed his explosive charge. Oh, and Maya tried to take him out with the Eagle cannons. Well, she succeeded, but not before he hit her.
Maya? Maya, can you hear me?
He's thrown her back behind the co-pilot's chair.
I've lost contact with Maya.
Oh, we've blown the cap on the explosive silo.
Interlay the atomic trigger now.
Oh, we've still got to do that, haven't we? Right, yes.
Watch Sanderson. He's still dangerous.
Okay. Yeah, danger, nuclear waste area. There's a sign there clearly saying it. This isn't nuclear waste area 1. It isn't nuclear waste area 2. I'm sure Breakaway, it didn't say that there weren't more than 2, but it highly suggested that there were only 2. And Sanderson, having lost his gun, he's now reduced to lobbing big rocks in Koenig's direction. And again, I think the slow motion makes this all a bit more exciting than it would be normally. Again, a hidden use of a trampoline there, and this time we didn't see it. Oh no! Sanderson got hold of Koenig and he shoved him. How's our hero going to get out of this one?
Maya, it's Tony. Can you hear me? What's the damage?
Whoa! Koenig's given Sanderson a proper somersault throw there.
Come in, please.
Oh, he's even knocked Sanderson's helmet visor open. But that's not going to kill him. That never kills anyone in this show. Again, more hidden trampoline stuff as Koenig bounces back to the silo. I like as well that he's generally more focused on just getting the charge into the silo than he is on his own safety. Because here comes Sanderson. Oh, kicked him into it. And again, this silo seems to be a bottomless pit, unlike some of the ones seen in Breakaway. Koenig is now hanging by his fingertips. Sanderson is giving them a good stepping on. And I'm not sure I'm all on board with how Sanderson is dispatched here. Because, Koenig essentially has to kill him. That's it, there he goes. Yeah, he's pulled him into the silo. Yeah, you get the impression there that it is a bottomless pit. I know they were in a fight to the death. I know it was one man or the other, but it never feels right to me. The idea of Koenig having to kill one of his own people. And that is basically what he did there. If this ending had been worked more as Sanderson accidentally blowing himself up, maybe Koenig sets the charge and goes back to the Eagle, and Sanderson comes rushing in to stop it and gets blown up, caught in the explosion at the last minute. But for Koenig to actually be the one who kills him,
Eagle 2, come in, please.
I don't know. Anyway, he's back on the Eagle. Well, at least someone wearing Koenig's spacesuit is back on the Eagle. I don't think that was Martin Landau.
Maya!
Oh dear. Again, I don't think this quite works either. Maya is stuck behind the door. Unconscious for a very long time.
I'm trapped!
She's stuck behind a chair that we know can extend forward with the slightest touch of a lever, so...
4.5 minutes, Maya!
Yeah.
I can't reach the controls!
And the fact as well that it's Maya. We know she can turn into anything. We know this is not a problem. She should have instantly gone, oh yeah, I can do what I'm about to do now, and saved us 30 seconds. She's turned into a little girl. But again, you know, these seats, they do move forward. We've seen it happen multiple times. Why can't she move it forward by herself? So, little girl Maya has opened the door to let Koenig in. See, she's just done it. Koenig and Maya have come back into the cockpit. They've both sat down and they have both moved the chairs forward with remarkable ease. What was stopping her from doing that before? Oh, I'm starting to rag on this episode, and I don't want to, because this is a very well directed finale. The music is doing a lot, the actors are doing a lot, and we're nearly there. That's it. We have created another breakaway effect. Somehow. It was a good job we had that nuclear waste silo on hand. And they say such explosions are bad things on Earth. These kind of huge explosions, they never do anything but good for Alpha. And that's it. The moon is no longer on a collision course.
The moon has changed course.
Yay.
We're no longer on collision course with Tora.
And all those fires and massive damage, well, if it happened, fixed off screen. And here we are with a slightly strange ending for this episode. Because the actor playing Stevens looks a lot like one of the regular extras on the show. I don't know the extra's name, but they're both in this scene, in this one shot together. Koenig and Eva and Stevens are among several Alphans being shown pictures of, well, what looks mostly like Black Park.
Looks good.
This will cure their green sickness.
Doctor, how much longer?
At least another hour and a half.
This is the shot. There's an actor who is the exact double of Stevens, and it doesn't help that both men are in the reconnaissance section, as you can see from their orange collars, and they're wearing red jackets.
You think your system will work?
Principle's perfectly valid. Saturation equals boredom.
Well, it figures he's showing trees, meadows, and streams until I can't stand another blade of grass, right?
I don't think it works that way. Again, it's nice that the show raised the idea of, you know, green sickness, as they call it. I think the way they resolve it, oh, this is never going to be a problem anymore. We'll just show people pictures of fields. If anything, if I was on Alpha and I was feeling, you know, homesick and I wanted to you know, walk through green fields and anything, that would make me want it more. Anyway, we're ending on shots of Tony and Alan admiring, among others, Caroline Munro, because evidently Alpha left orbit with a lot of glamour model shots in its database. Either that or that's someone's personal collection that's been uploaded for use around the base, and that was the Seance Spectre. And that is one of my favourite episodes of the second season. I do believe that is one of the stronger episodes overall. Some lovely guest performances. Again, you know, Mr. Hutchison, Mr. Ken Hutchison, who sadly is no longer with us, sometimes comes in for a bit of stick on this one, but I think he's done us quite well here with his performance as Sanderson.